Fellow geeks, on this week's episode of Geeks of Azeroth, we're going to be talking about Tracer and Heroes of the Storm, more Legion details on World Quest, and Khadgar and Hearthstone? All that and more on this week's episode of Geeks of Azeroth. Well, apologies, stream. The intro did not want to play today, so we're going to jump right in. I'm not sure what XSplit's doing, but it did not want to play the file, so we'll have to figure that out for next time. Well, we don't have Big Voodoo with us this week, but Britzza, how was your week?
It was good. I was just going to say, after almost 2 years of doing this, we're pretty good at just going in on the fly and hoping for the best. So,
Yes.
yeah, my week's been a lot of work. I mean, real life work. So it's really sort of been into my game time, and I've been trying to clear a lot because there's a lot of games coming out sort of towards the end of this month that I really want to pick up, like the Warhammer Total War.
Yes,
coming out,
definitely,
and a few other things. They've got Battlefield Gothic Armada coming out, so really trying to get my nerd game on for next week. But in terms of Blizzard specific stuff, I haven't been in the alpha much. Again, that's coming next week, but it's really just been trying to hit the legendary quest, which is hard because it's still more Tanan and more dailies with the shipyard and all that stuff, and it is a bit of a drag. Because I'm trying to do it with my mage and my pally.
Ooh.
Which and the pally's like I'm onto the tablets with the artifacts, tablets and things like that. Oh, not the artifact tablets, but the tablet bit where you got to get 300 of everything.
Yeah.
My mage is one stage behind that, and it's kind of got to a stage of just logging in, and you kind of do the garrison daily, then you do your shipyard, and then every couple of days I just go do the Tanan daily to make sure I've got enough oil. But otherwise, I can see now what people are really worried about in terms of garrisons, and we'll get onto what garrisons could be in the future. It's not fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, dragging myself through that. I might start working on the warrior to get him up. But otherwise, my copy of the Illidan novel came through.
Oh, good.
Which was
I didn't
great.
even know that one had come out yet.
Yeah, it only came out a few days ago here in the
Okay.
UK. I don't know if it came out slightly sooner in the US or elsewhere. So I'm going to be reading that and hopefully getting some sort of review, a non-spoilery review once I've had a chance to really get into that. And my Chronicles, my World of Warcraft Chronicles, the order got kind of pushed back. They kind of said, we were going to deliver it, and then the date came where they said it was supposed to be arriving, and they said, no, actually, we'll tell you when it's going to come. I'm like, great. So I know nothing about Warcraft lore still. What about you?
Well, I am one of those heathens who just reads books on my phone. So I have Chronicle, and I've been reading that this past week, and it is fantastic. I mean, there's
I didn't know
the
they
first
had a digital copy.
Yeah, the first 11 chapters of the book are before it even gets to Azeroth, and it's like, it kind of blows your mind how deep the lore for Warcraft really goes. So that is fantastic. Otherwise, I've been playing a lot of ranked Overwatch.
What a surprise.
Yeah, I got finally moved up a tier into the advanced rank, so that's pretty cool. But now it's at the point where you can actually lose points for losing, so it's definitely going to get more difficult without teammates. But Big Voodoo did get into the open beta weekend, or the beta weekend that they had. Unfortunately, I was out of town and I didn't get to play with him, but he got to play with Icarus, so there's my phone going off. He got to play with Icarus, so it was pretty cool. Big Voodoo got to play Overwatch finally and had a good time from what I hear. So, and apparently he's a really good Widowmaker.
Oh, right, really?
Yes. So without further ado, once I get the sounder up, pulled up, there they are. We can go into news of the week. That's right. It is time for news of the week, and this week, Britzza is going to lead us right through it. Britzza.
Strap in, folks. This is going to be a very bumpy ride. So let's go with news of the week. So we're doing things a little bit differently for those who weren't around last show. We're just going to sort of go through the news pretty quickly, and then we'll save things for the discussion topics if we want to talk about them. So, kicking off, firstly, one of the things we will be discussing later, funny enough, Legion developers have clarified the World Quest system that sort of kicks in when you're level 110. So they've released the details on how those appear in your interface, how you can get involved, how many you need to do, and sort of the turnover, how like some last for a week, some last for 3 days. They've really cleared up how that works.
Definitely interesting stuff.
It is really interesting stuff. So I won't spoil anything, but we're going to cover that in the the discussion topic in a bit. I'd love a development session. If only we were working on it. Kicking off with the second topic, Khadgar is being introduced to Hearthstone, and has not had perhaps the best welcome to the game. His release is being partnered with Apple and the World Wildlife Federation, and I had to think about that because WWF still stands for World Wrestling Federation in my head, so I have to take time reading that. But what they're doing is, as part of a campaign to promote protecting the planet, they are releasing Khadgar, and so from now until the 24th of April, you can purchase Khadgar for $4.99 or the equivalent, but only on an Apple product. So you can only purchase him through the iOS store on your iPhone or your iPad, or potentially.
And I'm holding up my iPhone right now.
Yeah, which has caused a lot of hassle because people feel they've been locked out. I've heard rumors that apparently this exclusive drops after April 24th, but I don't see why.
I feel like they're going to raise the price of it. Oh.
Yes, like probably about $7.
What is the Hunter or the other ones that they have? They're like almost $10, aren't they?
One of the Windrunners, I think, is, or
yeah.
It makes sense. The good thing about this is that all the I think 100% of all the proceeds go to the WWF. So
the World Wrestling Federation.
The World Wrestling Federation for WrestleMania 2017. But yeah, no, so it's for a really good cause, but a lot of people are really upset that they feel they've been locked out of this promotion. But like you say, if it's the same price as the other heroes later down the line and simply having an Apple product gave you a discount, it's not really too bad. The other thing is Khadgar, a mage, as the sort of poster boy of the Protect the Planet. I can see in terms of the current storyline why that works, but other people were saying, why didn't we get a druid? Why have we got a class that already has an alternative hero?
Yeah.
So fair point on that, and we'll have to wait and see whether he gets released after the April 24th cutoff point. Bonds of Brotherhood. I'm getting ahead of myself. Bonds of Brotherhood is a graphic novel that is going to lead into the Warcraft movie, and that is going to be, well, coming out, I think, on June the 7th, which is my birthday. So what's happened here? IGN have announced that there's going to be a graphic novel that leads into the movie. I'm trying to think when the movie's actually launching again.
June 24th, 20-something.
So you've got a couple of weeks to sort of branch between these two. And the story sits around Lane, Lothar, and Medivh embarking on a mission. It sort of shows how they form their brotherhoods and, their bonds of brotherhood, as it were. I see what they've done there. It's a 112-page graphic novel. The story was put together by Chris Metzen. It's written by Paul Cornell, and some of the artists involved: Matt Broom, Michael O'Hare, Eddie Nunez. That's the name I get to butcher for the show. Roy Alan Martinez, Ale Garza, and Mike Bowden. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff all round. One thing I will say, Tarley, do you think it needs a precursor graphic novel?
I think maybe this is more directed towards people who don't know the Warcraft lore. I mean, because we already know what's going on, really. If you've played Warcraft 1 or you followed the lore, then yes, but if not, then sure. Then it would be good to know the precursor of why they're working together in the first place. So, yeah.
Spoiler, none of them die.
Because they're in the movie.
They're in the movie, exactly. Okay, fair enough. Well, that's that.
Or they get resurrected by a priest, so they could totally die. But
they could totally. I guess that's a good point. I presume. I think that's the thing I don't like about precursor novels, because you know how they're going to end, or at least you guess the most of the plot points. But Yeah, I think that'd be cool,
Well,
actually.
it's like, you know, Rogue One for Star Wars. You know that Darth Vader is not going to die in that movie, right?
True, that's promise, and you know that the Death Star will get blown up eventually. There's no
Yep.
spoiler there. Yeah, that's a good point. But I'd like to maybe they do like the whole spirit res thing that we have to go through as characters.
Right. They have
Like the
to
little
find their
icon appears
bodies.
above their heads. That'd be pretty cool. Um, Tracer has had her spotlight for Heroes of the Storm. That was released a couple of days ago on April 15th, and it goes through a bit of her playstyle, and like all the other spotlights, just introduces who she is and what she does. So, Talia, I don't know if you had any thoughts on watching the video.
Oh,
what her
yes.
style's like.
We can, well, we can play it for the stream a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
On YouTube.
Maybe
Here we go. Let's get just enough to not get us copyright struck.
Yeah.
I will pull that up right now.
Look out, world! Tracer's here.
Overwatch, an elite international task force assembled to ensure global peace. The fearless Lena Oxton was chosen as the pilot of their prototype teleporting fighter, the Slipstream. During a test flight, the aircraft malfunctioned, leaving her desynchronized from the flow of time. Thankfully, the brilliant scientist Winston was able to construct a chronal accelerator, granting Tracer the ability to speed up and slow down her own time. Armed with fantastic new abilities, she's become an irrepressible force for good. The Nexus could always use more heroes, and Tracer has answered the call. Tracer is an
All right,
extremely...
so we'll leave it at the introduction. If you want to see all of her abilities, you can continue to watch the video from there. But there you even get a little nice bit of backstory for Tracer if you hadn't read it up on her website. So, on the Overwatch website, which is Tracer's website. Let's face it.
It's basically, yeah, I think most of Blizzard has become Tracer's website, to be honest. It's everywhere.
Yeah. But man, does she look good to play. She's definitely changing it up for Heroes of the Storm. Like, nobody else in the game really has the mobility like she does. And if you've played Overwatch, it looks like she plays exactly like she does in the game. Just 3 dashes with short cooldown. She can chuck her bomb. At level 1, she gets her ultimate. And then at level 10...
10.
Yeah, level 10, had to think there. You get to make it different a little bit. And she has to reload her weapons also. Very interesting. But she can move and fire and just crazy.
It is the closest we're going to get to an FPS character in
Yeah.
Heroes. It's interesting you say that because she is, you're right, so maneuverable, and you can see that in the game. I mean, they do a great job of just showing how maneuverable she can get. But I just feel like all it takes is like a heroic from Illidan, and she
Yeah.
just ended up splattered across the pavement. She looks so squidgy,
Right,
by comparison.
which is good. Like, if somebody was that like movable, and invincible, like really hard to kill, then she would be broken. But just like in Overwatch, she doesn't have very much health in that game either. One of the smallest health pools in the game, so it just makes sense. And she has her like recall. She can go back in time, basically reverse any damage that she's taken in that amount of time. It's pretty cool. So just dash in, chuck the bomb, rewind, kill the whole team.
Simple.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to playing her on Tuesday. If you have pre-purchased Overwatch, I think it's later in the week you get to play her. Otherwise,
Well, you have to pay the gold as well, I think, isn't it?
yeah,
Going to be like
you get her for
15
free
gold.
too if you've if you've pre-purchased Overwatch.
So that's what, like $15 or like £7
Yep.
off your price already. So it's getting pretty good value.
But of course, I will immediately buy the skin for her. But yeah.
The weirdest one, because they show in that video towards the end the skins. I didn't see that sort of fluorescent pink blue
Oh,
one
yeah.
before. Where's that come from? Because usually there's a theme behind a lot
It's
of the
Punk
skins.
Tracer, which is a
Tracer,
skin
okay.
for her in Overwatch. So that's
Oh,
where they're
okay.
getting that from.
Fair enough. Do you think that's the best skin they could have chosen? I haven't seen any of her others, so
It's my favorite skin for her in the game, so I would agree. But some people might say no, Slipstream Tracer or other Tracer. But there's T-Racer where she's wearing like a helmet and looks like she's from that old cartoon that I can't think of.
Speed Racer.
Speed Racer, yeah.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, so maybe they'll add that one down the road. But yeah, Tracer in Heroes of the Storm, definitely excited.
Brilliant. So, yeah, really keen to try out. And to be honest, I think I might have to start getting my pre-order game on on Overwatch just to get her, because, like you say, she's pretty different from a lot of the other characters out there. Moving on to something that's not perhaps as exciting. I guess it is exciting, but not in the right way. It seems Battle.net or Blizzard in general suffered a DDoS attack a couple of days ago. Nothing majorly significant. It seems like a few people, a fair number of players, saw the disruption, but it didn't completely destroy the game, and it wasn't a completely, red alert.
A lot of people believe this is because Blizzard shut down Astralis, and this was Lizard Squad's answer to that.
Yeah, but Lizard Squad are the guys who blew up the WOD servers at the beginning of the expansion. That wasn't a response to it. That was just to ruin our game.
Yeah.
Little did we know they were actually helping us, saving us from something much crueler. No, I'm kidding. But do you think, Tarley, the reason I find this quite interesting is that the DDoS attack obviously did happen with Warlords.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think something similar might happen at the launch of Legion?
Oh, most likely. It's just whether or not Blizzard will actually be prepared for it this time. And I'm sure they will be prepared for it, hopefully. Even if it means sacrificing some of their internal abilities like they did. That's how they were combating it last time, by shutting down their email servers and all that stuff within the company. So they'll probably be ready for it this time, hopefully.
And is it the case that, because this looks like it affected all games, whereas if I'm right, the one that happened with the Warlords of Draenor release only affected...
It was just World of Warcraft, yeah.
So is that something new that they can target just Battle.net in general, or?
To be honest, I'm not sure how DDoS really works.
It could stop our Overwatch, Tarley.
I know. I don't want to stop playing Overwatch.
In any case, Blizzard got things back together pretty quickly. I think it was like a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So,
but during that time, every Blizzard game was unplayable. So that's shame on you, Lizard Squad. Shame.
Maybe they just try. Maybe to support saving the planet, they wanted us to go out and enjoy the sunshine and all that sort of
make
stuff.
everybody else go outside. Shame.
Shame. How evil could they be?
Don't make me go outside.
Okay, moving on to the very last bit of news. The Legion, well, I guess the big bit of news is that Destruction Warlocks are finally into the alpha. So nice work there. But, of course, the Warlock pets have been getting updated, and we've just seen the images, although I can't find them. I think they're appearing on YouTube videos like Heels vs Babyface and other channels. The Voidwalker and they've done the Succubus. Which one was it? I'm trying to remember which other one they did. They've done a couple of the pets. My mind's going a bit blank. So we're starting to see the new models. The textures are a lot better.
But we can't seem to find any images to show you, right?
Yeah, no one's actually posted the images on Google or anything like that.
I've just seen them in YouTube videos. So
I know. Yeah, I'm trying to find a couple now, but I'm failing. So I won't keep anyone. But yeah. So we're starting to see the new textures. They look really great. The Succubus ones were great. Just in general, it's really nice not to have those vanilla textures anymore. I can't stand it personally. And on a complete side note, there's some things in Warlords that still use the old textures. If anyone can actually, here's a little question for the listeners. If you go to Shadow Moon Valley in Warlords, and as an Alliance player, you use your garrison ability. Does anyone else's people who pop up, are they still using the old textures there? Because I do it, and they're the old pixelated humans, and it's awful. It's like I've gone horrifically back in time again.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I have a couple Alliance characters and I haven't noticed that, but now I'm curious.
Have a look, because mine are maybe they're just shutting me down. Maybe Blizzard's just giving me the finger saying you can have the old models.
Maybe.
But hey, anyway, so that's all the news of the week.
All right.
Quickly.
Time to jump into discussions of the week. Do apologize. It doesn't seem like that sounder wanted to play either. I'm not sure what's going on with our sounders today. Might be having some computer problems. I'll figure it out sometime.
Blame it on Lizard Squad.
We'll blame it on Lizard Squad. We are being DDoSed. All right, so Britzza, let's hear your discussions for the week.
Okay.
And we'll discuss them.
Yes, that's good. So the main thing for me is kind of, I'm going to try and cut this down because when I first went through this in my head, it did seem a bit long-winded. But there is a post on Battle.net that came out on the 14th, so 3 days ago when we were recording this. And what it is, it's about achievement hunting. And in particular, they talk about Cataclysm. And what Blizzard, or at least the writers of this little post on Battle.net are doing, is they are promoting you to go back and well, firstly, they're promoting you to go and do time walking through Cataclysm, but they're also kind of hinting that the reason you should go back is to go and do old content, go and get those achievements, and just go and, yeah, really just unlock those achievements and potentially get the rewards, the mounts, and things like that. And that made me think for a second. You know, that's a really odd post to kind of, or I guess it's a bit of a bad taste post, considering the fact they just shut down Nostarius.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking, well, you know, we talked kind of briefly about that last show, and I wanted to get into a bit more of a discussion about what that actually meant for Blizzard's community and Blizzard more specifically. And I guess, look, you know, just throwing it out there, vanilla servers, there's a lot of people calling for a vanilla server. There's a petition on change.org that has 134,000 or almost 135,000 signatures calling on Blizzard to put together a vanilla server and officially endorse vanilla server. And you know, this all kind of amalgamated in my head, and I just thought, you know, should we just have a discussion on whether vanilla servers are actually a good thing? I'm not sure. I'm sure I'm going to form an opinion as I go through this with you, but I just wanted to get your sort of off-the-cuff remarks, Tarley, before I'll probably kick it off. But do you think vanilla servers, or what Nostarius was, it was a good thing for Blizzard and World of Warcraft?
I think just the outcry from the community ever since it's been shut down. We're seeing it all over the internet. People, like, you know, cursing Blizzard for taking this down and saying Blizzard's making a huge mistake. And I think that alone shows that it is a good idea, and that there is a real group of people that want that. There was, you know, 800,000 accounts on Australis, at least 100,000 active players on average. So that alone tells me that yes, there's a huge group of people that would want that. And so yeah, I would think legacy servers is something Blizzard should do.
Okay, and looking back, like, it was nothing that it was something, sorry, that wasn't on my radar. I didn't really know a lot about it. I didn't even know it was really there until they kind of announced they were going to close it. And then looking at just how much work went into running it, they talk about in this petition, in particular, about how they were reproducing all the original progression content, and they were about to do Encourage as a release next month for Nostarius. That seems crazy to think. You know, people were putting that much effort in to recreate that content and for 150,000 active users. But I guess from like a devil's advocate perspective, you know, we could say, I'm going to ignore the fact that it was illegal because that's not really the major thing that we're discussing. But Blizzard's not making
You can't
any
even
money.
think a negative reason for it, can you?
I'm trying to. I'm not against it. I'm totally happy with a vanilla server, but my thoughts are: does it cause more damage to the game? Because Blizzard's at this junction. They're trying to constantly tell us that we don't want old vanilla content. They always say you hate it back then. You would you don't want to go back, and they kind of do that tongue in cheek with like the Taran Mill.
Yeah, but
PvPs
Nostralis is proof that people do want it.
Exactly, you're right. And
it's hard to play devil's advocate against it.
It is hard to play devil's advocate.
Except for the fact that Blizzard isn't making money off it, therefore Blizzard said, bad, stop playing this, play our game instead, play our Facebook game, World of Warcraft.
Yeah. Do you think, though, if they say Blizzard caved in and said, BlizzCon 2016, we're going to release a vanilla server, or a series of servers that are different expansions, for example, doesn't that just fragment the player base? And my thought is, if you start fragmenting the player base in the same way, like think about how end content is in Warlords at the moment. People are so split up in terms of there are people who are just trying to progress through doing garrison missions, like I am. There are people who are doing different tiers of raid content. There are people who are trying to do PvP through that, Battlegrounds and Ashran, and I just feel like, in a similar way to how perhaps that fragmentation has kind of wrecked the end game and made the world seem so empty, if you do that to realms and expansions, and you've got, say, 4 million people, and then those 4 million people all split into servers of 800,000 people, I just think you're going to just kill it's just going to erode quicker. That's my thought. It's a bit like, salt in water. It's just, if you break it up and crush it, it's just going to dissolve quicker.
I feel like it would actually. I still feel like it'd be a good thing for the WoW community. First off, if Blizzard actually had these servers, I think they would get a ton more players. Like, I think it's probably safe to say that the subscribers are probably under 4 million at this point. Like, they're not reporting them, but it's probably under 4 million, and the lowest it's ever been since the game came out. And,
I agree.
So I don't think they could really hurt their player base anymore. I mean, Legion may do that if things we're going to talk about come to fruition, but I think legacy servers could bring back a whole lot of people, and then Blizzard would really be making money.
No, I think you're right. You said that it's very difficult to come up with an argument against this, and it is. And now I'll switch to the other side. I can think of 10 reasons why it makes more sense to have a vanilla server, because I think personally,
I would personally love a Wrath server, but that's just me.
A Wrath server would be good. I think Time Walking has shown that they want people to have the opportunity to revisit that content in the now.
Yeah, right.
They are doing that, and I think it's unfair where I've seen some people say that they don't get that people want to revisit that. Okay, they do get it, but they're trying to get people to revisit from here and not try and recreate this point here and have people access it from there, and that makes sense. But I think Blizzard just needs to give up on this notion that that World of Warcraft is going to grow.
Yeah,
I think it's not going to grow. It's going to keep climbing every time there's an expansion, but I think they need to, I know they don't accept there's going to be 12 million subscribers or 10 million. It's not going to hit those numbers. It might hypothetically hit that with the movie coming out, and that it might hit 10, but they have to let go of the fact that at the end of expansion, they're not going to have more than 4 or 5 ever. And I just think they now need to focus on the community. I mean, you look at BlizzCon, you look at everything Blizzard does. It's the community that makes this business and this whole franchise so strong.
And every other Blizzard game is very community focused and very good with their community. It just kind of makes me wonder why World of Warcraft is still being very stubborn about listening to what the players actually want.
It's almost like it's trying to keep. When you're right, you're 100% right, because when you look at all these other games. Even the whole success of Heroes,
Hearthstone,
Hearthstone on esports it's built on this platform of community. It's the people wanting to come together to watch it, and it's almost like World of Warcraft is stuck in this notion of traditional game development that it can't be in. It's a game defined by content. Hearthstone and Heroes don't have content in the same way. They don't have stories in the same way. They don't have expansions quite in the same way. In the sense that there's not quests and zones that they have to build and all that stuff. It doesn't take as long to develop that. But the point is those games are popular for a reason. It's because their model works. And if they're going to try and build themselves into a company that's like the Hearthstone model, where they can just open it up and do they sell content very quickly, and they can just you can jump in and out. They can't, like you say, stick into this old traditional model of you jump into a game and you will play it for 8 months.
Yeah.
And I think yeah.
And to our listeners, I mean, don't get us wrong. Like, I love World of Warcraft. I love Warcraft. It's just so much. It's like it's been a part of my life for years. And that's where the passion comes from. It's like I want to see it do better and not keep falling until it's gone.
Yeah, we're already speaking out the same passion that everyone else is. Everyone's angry at things like this because you're right. It's just kill. It also it's like taking just a section of the community and just pulling the plug on it.
Yeah.
I mean, they were as much a part of the community as everybody else. They were adding potentially a lot more to the game than some other people do. In the sense that I'd argue they were adding more to the game than potentially I am, because I'm jumping in and out. I'm in my garrison. I'm trying to do that darn legendary quest, and I'm not talking to anyone. I'm not talking with my guild because I'm not logging into those characters enough.
My main isn't even in a guild.
Exactly. And these 150,000 people, when they were closing the servers down, there's a wonderful video that I will stick in the show notes of just the last few minutes on Astaris, and it's not for the faint-hearted. I'll be honest. It's got me going.
Yeah.
It's you just realise that they are in some ways like the cream of the crop of the community, and I think we needed to Blizzard needs to embrace them, and it shouldn't have just cut them out in that way. I don't know if you think, is it as simple as putting together a vanilla server or wrath servers?
I don't think there's any excuse. Like, it's too much work. They can't divide up the team because these people were doing it absolutely for free. Like, they were not making any money off of it except for some donations, which purely went into hosting the server. So, I really don't see why Blizzard, now with this outcry of people wanting it, why Blizzard can't do it, except to promote Legion or whatever future expansion will come. So, we've kind of ranted about that for a while. Now we're about to rant about something else as well.
I would say, just closing this topic off, it's not an easy thing, and a lot of people have discussed it, and I don't think it's not nice because these people really did love this game, and now they haven't got a way to access it without playing it in its current iteration.
I will say that with the way with this outcry, there is no way Blizzard hasn't seen the amount of people talking about this now that it's been shut down.
Like Morhab's like, what?
Like, you got to realize that, like, there's a lot of people like you and me who did not realize Nostralis was a thing until it was being shut down. And so now there's this huge outcry of people who want it, and we can now only hope that Blizzard is listening. So, moving on. Good topic. Good topic. We did discuss that for a while. So now I'm going to talk about something else that I discovered via Bellular Gaming. We'll have the link to his YouTube video in the show notes. But he went and played the alpha and discovered what the whole mission system is for. What are they called? The hero class halls, order halls, whatever you want to call them. And it is almost cut and paste of the garrison mission system, with a little bit, little different things with troops instead of they're expendable troops that you have to keep farming more resources to get more troops to then send off and die on missions, and then you have your heroes that are more just like the traditional garrison followers that won't go away, and you're leveling them up and getting more abilities for them. Why is this happening again? This was probably the most complained about feature that Warlords of Draenor had, and they're bringing it back again.
Was garrisons that bad? I
don't get it. I really do not see why they're bringing this back.
Yeah,
and especially when they said at BlizzCon that we would see very little of the garrison systems in Legion.
And right, okay, and this goes to a post that Ian Hazakostas wrote, I think, maybe a couple of days ago, possibly even a few weeks ago, where I'm pretty sure he said, and if I can find it, I will put it in the show notes, but he said something along the lines of, with Warlords, Garrisons was a core part of the gameplay, and he admitted that it was an alternative way to progress outside of normal end content. So he admitted that part of the development team perceived that there would be a bunch of players who would say, raiding, not for me. PvP, not for me. I want to sit in this room all day and all night, just hitting this garrison tab, this table again and again. And I mean, that is shocking to think that people would do that. It's nice if you do that for a little while, maybe like a couple of days when you've got a busy week or something like that. But the thought that they actually had people who could do that prolonged. Again, he might not be saying that. He might have thought that they could only do it for a week and then they have to come and raid. But even then, what if they couldn't raid? What if they didn't want that content? It'd be a dead end for them. But he then said that when they were developing Legion, they were thinking about how they were going to interact with the map and all the other features. And I think the phrase he used was that they saw that it was a good fit. In other words, they saw an opportunity to put it back in, and they did it. So
I think the one thing we can hope is that it is not like the rewards from it are not like gear. Like, I don't want to see gear come out of this as a reward, because then it becomes a mandatory thing that you have to do. If it's just something else you can do to get other resources or maybe blue gear or something, but if it's something you can do on the side and it is not required in any way whatsoever to play the rest of Legion content, then fine. Put it in there for the small group of people who like playing a Facebook game in World of Warcraft. But if it is an integral part of the end game and you have to be doing it in order to progress, then that's going to make a lot of people very angry.
I remember seeing this when I just got to the end of the Order Hall setup with my Demon Hunter on the Alpha, and I remember seeing that sort of recruiting screen where you can recruit Naga followers and things like that. And the first thing I thought of was, this is like the worst bit of the shipyard, in that I'm recruiting things that I know are not going to be there. In other words, I have to keep building them. And that's the first problem, is that you're right, it's this first point of association. But at the same time, I think maybe they are actually addressing the major problems with garrisons, which is, you think about, they again go back, they admitted that garrisons was something they perceived people doing as an alternative to going out in the world. That's not going to happen anymore with world quests,
which we're about to talk about.
Which we're about to talk about. And I think they've just accepted that people don't want to stay in their garrison. And I think that's the thing, is it's almost like it got a bit claustrophobic, and that's what's hyped up this hate of garrisons. It's kind of, when you're stuck in something, you just hate it, and then you start shouting even louder, even though it's probably not that bad. So I do think that they're easing the pressure by allowing us to go outside, allowing us to do more things. But at the same time, I do think they have kept in features that weren't the best bits of garrisons. I think they should have got rid of those.
Yeah,
like
honestly, I think having buildings and different things in your garrison that benefited your character was a better thing than the follower mission structure. But again, that's just my opinion. Now, there is the other side of it too, that you are not alone this time. Like, you're going to be in your class hall where every other player who plays your class will also be there. So it's not going to be such a lonely experience either. You'll be sharing that with other members who play your class. So you won't have that big feeling of isolation if you do stay in your order hall just to log in and do that. But again, I just really hope that it's not just something that you just log in and click a button and then that's all you're going to be doing in World of Warcraft endgame. Now, that being said, we can talk about the other thing that was added, and that is world quests. Now, these are very interesting. It is very much, especially like what I thought at BlizzCon, it looks a lot like Diablo's. What's it called in Diablo?
I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Adventure mode. That's what it's called.
Adventure mode. Yep.
It looks very much like that, where you get like 2 factions per day that will come up with a set of 4 or 5 quests, or you only have to complete 4 or 5 quests. But in each zone you look at, there are a ton of different quests for you to go out and do. But to get the big reward and reputation bonus for that faction, you just have to complete 5 of them or 4 of them, however many there are. And there are different ones with different rarity. There'll be blue quests, which can get you some blue level gear. There's epic quests that will get you actually raid level gear, is what they're saying, that this gear will eventually, as the more you do them over time throughout the expansion, they will get you raid quality gear, which is very cool. It's actually sending you out in the world to go do things, and you're earning raid gear this way. So that makes me happy about the end game. And these quests are all very, very varied. Is that a proper sentence?
I think so. I think that's going to be correct.
You know, there'll be quests for pet battles. There'll be quests for herbalists to go and get a certain amount of this before it all disappears. You know, so they're definitely making it varied. And so this is actually a feature I'm very excited for. I think this is really good end game. I think Blizzard has listened to the community in the fact that people want to go out and do almost said a bad word, do things in the world. And yeah, I'm excited about it. What do you think? Have you looked into the world quests? I mean,
yeah, I love them. And this supports my sort of overall thought that is that, yeah, garrisons weren't great, and they're not great for me at the moment, but this is the thing that they're doing to alleviate that. It's about getting us out in the world. The problem that everyone, I think, boils the problem down with garrisons to is I don't feel like I'm living in the world of Warcraft. It feels like I'm living in a small little island.
yeah.
And this is perfect because, like you say, just looking at some of these benefits, some are giving out artifact power, some are giving out PvP gear, some are giving out blue gear, item level 8-10. I'm seeing some other things, gold. So, it's pretty varied. And I think some people will perhaps nitpick and say, is it fair that you should get this wide variety of gear, PvP gear? But at the end of the day, this is a great entry level.
Yeah.
If say you were thinking, okay, I've done a lot of PvE stuff. I really want to get into PvP. This is a great way to get some PvP gear under your belt, quite literally, and just then start going into the battlegrounds yourself. I mean, I don't think it's ever going to drop anything more than this season, sort of season 1, perhaps season 2. So yeah, I think it's a great little gateway. I think it gets us out. It's great that they're tying that into reputation, and the bosses as well. The fact that there's going to be bosses there that appear for say 3 days, you can then look at that boss icon on your map, and it might say, for example, in some rare cases, there's a mount dropping.
Yep.
So you can then whisper your guild, whisper your friends online, or just whoever's around, and say, listen, there's this boss. I've got the thing on my map. Who wants to join me and kill it? And that's exactly what people have been calling out for.
Yeah, and I have a picture up on the map or on the screen here too, and this is exactly what the map looks like when you're looking. So you can see like these ones with the golden dragon around them. These are going to be special boss fights that you're most likely not going to be able to do yourself. You can see there's one with a skull. I'm assuming that's like a world boss quest. You got the purple one that is going to give you epic quality gear rewards from completing that, but obviously going to be more difficult. And so you can see there's more than 4 quests on the map here, but you only have to do 4 to get your emissary reward. So yeah, definitely a cool system. And now one other system that was implemented in the recent patch that we didn't actually have on our show notes to talk about, but I wanted to talk about it briefly, is they've renamed it a bit, but it's Mythic Dungeons. This is the new Mythic Dungeon system, and that's like doing, again, like dungeon runs. I can't remember what they're called in Diablo. Rifts, greater rifts. It's just like that. When you complete the first level, you get a stone, and you can keep upgrading that stone the more you complete a dungeon. But this way, but the stone changes. The stone will tell you which dungeon you're doing, but you won't be doing the same dungeon every time, and that keeps people from actually farming the easiest dungeon, which is really good. And then the higher level it gets, the different difficulty modifiers are going to be added onto the stone, making the dungeon more difficult. Like, for example, there's twice as many trash mobs, and trash mobs do double damage. If you got that one, it's going to be a very long dungeon run for you, trying to beat it in the time required. So as the stone levels up, things get harder to kill, and the time goes down for you to get to the next level. But no matter what, whether you finish it on time or not, you will get that stone's quality loot when you finish, which is very cool. And so from what I've heard of current players, it is a really cool way to do endgame for dungeons, for people who love doing dungeons, and it's going to keep dungeons relevant throughout the expansion. So good job on Blizzard there as well.
Yeah, it's going to be great as well, because if you think about Hearthstone, it has the same sort of mechanic with the keys. And
Yeah,
I see
yeah.
loads of posts online about people saying, yes, finally managed to get this, this key. And you think people are going to be doing the same thing here. So it's a great chance for people just to share their achievements as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really love it. I love that idea that I think some of the other examples they use at BlizzCon where all enemies do AoE damage or something like that. It's a cool way of just really making, catering to the hardcore content.
Yeah, and I don't believe you'll be able to queue into them either. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure you have to have a pre-made group, which is another good way of Blizzard actually encouraging people to group up with their guildmates or their fellow players. So, again, good on Blizzard for trying to encourage actual team cooperation. So,
and I hope they don't try and introduce a tool to help me just click a button and join a group.
Right.
I think
I just think the difficulty of Mythic Dungeons is going to be too difficult for a random group, but at least I hope so. I would love to see some difficult dungeon content again. Bring back the Cataclysm heroics.
I still like Cataclysm. I didn't see that much of it like after LFR and all that stuff. But I liked it.
Yeah. So I think that's about all I have on the this topic here on my discussion.
I guess we both agree that people are really worried that Garrison's coming back, and it didn't help the fact that they're using the Garrison appearances and the interfaces as part of the alpha build at the moment.
I think it goes to show, like I said with the Nostralis argument, that Blizzard is just kind of stubborn when it comes to listening to their community, and it's still showing with the Garrison missions here. But in the same way, they are adding a lot of beneficial things as well. So
yeah, I think people really like this. I think they've heard us in the past, but time's a great healer, and I think once we're in it, I think it will actually be really good. I think people are going to be pleased with this. It's great in terms of getting people out there. The rewards are pretty fair, but it's clearly just a stepping stone to, like you said, that harder content, that more hardcore content that is built on community, which is exactly what they need to focus on. If anything is built on anything other than community in this game, it's going to struggle. And get people talking to each other, signing up for Mythic Dungeons. It sounds brilliant to me.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, so on to the last segment, Heroes Call. Heroes Call. I'll do the sounder myself.
Honestly, that sounds great every time you do it yourself. Right. I can't tell the difference.
Because the sound is just not working for me. So I believe Tom Britzza. Said your real name. Oh no.
People will know.
Britzza, you had a shout out for us. Let's go ahead and hear that one. It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, well, I don't know if many people have heard this already. It was a post on Battle.net, and for people who don't know, Taiwan celebrated 10 years of World of Warcraft. I think it was probably the other week. It was announced the other week, so I think that's when they celebrate 10 years, which is really weird because to think that they'd had it for slightly less than the rest of us. I wonder if they've actually got any little statues out of it. But the great thing, and I can't stress how amazing this has to be watched if you have not seen it. The thing they did to celebrate that was some, I think it's AFK players who are incredibly popular machinima artists. They put together a series of music videos called Songs of Azeroth. And they collaborated with a lot of famous movie score artists. I think we got Shiwen Wang and his Studio M, who created worked to create all the background music and things like that. And it's brilliant. It really is just a testament to the community.
It's very cool, and it's a bit too long for me to just play here on the podcast, but it's great. I definitely recommend checking it out.
The links will be in the show notes. Please just watch it after listening to this. It's so worth it, and it will make you smile. It will really brighten up your day first of the day.
It's very good. All right, well, with that, I don't have any shout-outs myself, so I would like to thank everyone for listening as always. It's been a great show. You can always check us out at iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Twitch. And you can find us on Twitter at Geeks of Azeroth. You can find me personally at Tarley_pause. Britzza, where can we find you?
You can find me at Britzza_EG.
And even though Big Voodoo's not here this week, you can find him on Twitter. He is an active tweeter as well. You can find him at B1GV00D00. It is Big Voodoo with letters, with the vowels as numbers. Yes, very confusing. And you can contact the show with messages, questions, shout-outs, all of that to geeksofazerotheg@gmail.com. And remember to check us out at www.epicgeeks.co.uk. It's a very cool website. Very fancy.
Very shiny.
Otherwise, we'll be back same time, same place next week. Until then, have a great week in Azeroth or other Blizzard universes.
Bye.